There are stories that are better left untold. Not because they're scary, but because they're contagious. They're like a virus that enters through your ears and settles deep in your subconscious, making you doubt the solidity of the world you see every day. This is one of those stories. His name was Alex. He was what you'd call an urban explorer. A man who found his thrill sneaking into abandoned places, not for vandalism, for the stories. Every peeling wall, every forgotten toy on a dusty floor, he said, whispered to him. His YouTube channel was modest, but his dedicated followers loved him for the atmosphere. Alex wasn't chasing ghosts with cheesy gadgets. He was searching for the echoes of human lives. One day, an anonymous email appeared in his inbox. It contained no words. Just a single attachment, coordinates.txt. Nothing else. No subject, no signature. Anyone else would have deleted it as spam? But curiosity was both Alex's gift and his curse. He opened the file. Inside was a single line of latitude and longitude. He punched them into a map. The pin dropped in the middle of the Mojave Desert. No roads, no settlements, just nothing. But when he switched to satellite view, his heart skipped a beat. There, etched into the sun-scorched earth, were the clear outlines of streets, foundations, the ghostly silhouette of a town that didn't exist on any map. 2 weeks of prep, an old Jeep, gallons of water, food, cameras, a high-lumen flashlight, and his drone. It was a 2-day drive. Pavement turned to gravel, gravel turned to sand, and then even that disappeared. The GPS had given up hours ago. He was navigating by compass and a satellite printout. Stretching out before him was a town, not ruins. The buildings were intact. Neat 1950s-style 2-story houses, a town hall with a clock tower, a movie theater with a faded poster. But something was wrong. Everything was coated in a thick, unnaturally smooth layer of rust-colored dust. As if the entire town had been draped in a giant velvet shroud, and the silence, an absolute, oppressive silence that pushed against his eardrums. No wind, no rustling, no cry of a bird. Alex launched the drone. The view from above was breathtaking. Perfectly straight streets, vintage cars parked by the curbs, swing sets in the backyards. All frozen, as if someone had hit pause in 1958 and forgot to ever hit play again. He named the place Providence. His boots were the first to break the seal of dust in. Who knows how long? The door to the first house was unlocked. Inside, everything was in its place. Plates on the dinner table. A copy of Life magazine open on the sofa. In a child's room, a model rocket sat on a desk, ready for launch. The layer of dust was here, too. Alex dragged a finger across a table. The dust felt strange to the touch, not like normal dirt. It was warm, and it felt almost weightless. He spent 3 days in the town filming everything. With every hour, the oppressive feeling grew. This wasn't just abandonment. This was an absence. As if the very concept of life had been surgically removed from this place, leaving only the empty shell. He found no human remains. Not a single bone, not a shred of clothing dropped in a hurry. They didn't escape. They just vanished. On the 3rd night, what began as an expedition turned into a nightmare. He set up his base camp in an old radio station on the edge of town. Huge magnetic reels, giant transmitters, all coated in that same ubiquitous dust. Alex was about to get some sleep when he heard a sound. Click. One of the old vacuum tubes on the main console began to glow with a faint green light. Alex froze. There was no power in this town. He checked his own battery packs. They were with him. This was impossible. And then a sound came from the old speakers. A whisper at first, barely audible through the crackle of static. But it grew louder. It was a woman's voice. Not speaking, humming a lullaby, a simple, gentle melody. Alex grabbed his camera, his hands shaking. He pointed it at the console. More tubes began to light up, pulsing in time with the lullaby. He panned the camera slowly across the room, and then his blood ran cold. The rust-colored dust on the floor. It was moving. Billions of tiny particles were slowly rising into the air, swirling into eddies, as if an unseen dancer was waltzing across the room to the sound of the lullaby. The swirls grew thicker, coalescing in the center of the room into a hazy, but unmistakable, human silhouette. Alex scrambled backwards, hitting the wall. He couldn't make a sound, paralyzed with a terror he had never known. The silhouette of dust slowly turned its head toward him. The lullaby stopped, and the speakers erupted with a deafening, inhuman shriek. It was a scream of pure agony, of loss and loneliness, amplified 1,000 times. The glass in the radio station's windows vibrated and then shattered. The force threw Alex to the floor. The dust figure lunged at him, exploding into a cloud of particles. He woke at dawn. His head throbbed. His body ached. He was lying on the floor, covered in broken glass. The dead silence had returned. The console was dark. He scrambled for his camera. It was intact. He hit play. The recording showed it all. The glowing tubes, the humming lullaby, the dancing dust. But at the moment the shriek should have come, there was only silence on the recording. And the silhouette of dust. On the recording, it didn't lunge at him. It was reaching for him, its arm outstretched, as if pleading for help before it simply disintegrated. Alex understood. It wasn't an attack. It was an attempt to communicate. An echo of a tragedy trapped in time. The people of this town hadn't vanished. They had become it. They had become the dust, the silence, the frozen moment in time. Something an experiment, a catastrophe, an unknown phenomenon had converted their very matter into a timeless, silent echo of themselves. And his presence, his life force, had for a moment allowed one of those echoes to remember. He packed his gear and drove away without looking back. He never uploaded the footage. He deleted the files, wiped the memory cards, and smashed the hard drive with a hammer. Because he realized one more thing. As he was driving away, he glanced at his rearview mirror. On his clothes, on the dashboard, floating in the air of his Jeep, were tiny, rust-colored specks of dust, that same warm, weightless dust. He had brought a piece of Providence back with him. Sometimes, late at night, when he's sitting alone in his apartment in the total quiet, he can hear it. Faint, right on the edge of hearing. A quiet lullaby, and he knows that sooner or later the echo won't just want to remember. It will want to return, and he has no idea what will happen to our world when it does.